Bate.
Thanks. Don't leave. Okay. Cool. Oh. Okay, the formatting's a little bit strange here, so I don't know if that's going to play out on the rest of the presentation, but anyways. So this is a presentation on the concept of a knowledge-backed economy in an AI-driven future. That little robot down there is a representation of an AI. So my name is, oh, next. Can I use this? Great. So my name is Joshua Bate. I'm the founder of DeSciWorld. DeSciWorld is a decentralized platform for improving DeSci, and you can visit us at DeSci.world here. This is a brand new concept that we're releasing. This is actually the first time that I'm talking about it today, so I'm excited, and I hope you guys are too. We typically live in a society that has gone from this stage to this stage to this stage. The first stage here is the manufacturing and the goods-based economy. We produce goods, we produce cars, we produce steel, we produce chairs, we produce bottles, and our economy was driven by this. Around 40% of people for the last 100 years have been employed in the manufacturing of raw goods. Today in the US, around 5% of people are employed in the manufacturing industry. We moved from manufacturing to the service-based economy. In the service-based economy, the majority of people are employed through things such as teachers, cleaners, cashiers, service workers. With AI and automation, manufacturing reduced. With improved AI and automation, services will also be reduced. This is because manufacturing and a lot of service industries are repetitive tasks with confined rules that can actually be done pretty efficiently by AI. The more powerful the AI becomes, the more efficient these processes become. As such, soon, cashiers, even lawyers, teachers will probably be done better through AI than through humans. So what's next for humanity? Is everybody going to lose their job and become unemployed? We hope not. So we're pushing this concept here of the knowledge-backed economy. What is knowledge? So knowledge, we're going to talk here about two separate definitions. The first one is the dictionary definition, and the second one is our cultural understanding of knowledge and of ideas. So the first one here is the dictionary definition of knowledge. Knowledge is the sum of what is known. This is the dictionary definition. This presents an opportunity to us as humans, because AI, as they work today, we are not at AGI, they synthesize and they process the information that is known. The information that humans have produced can be gathered by AI and processed in a very smart way. Humans, however, create the knowledge, and are currently the only ones that can create knowledge. In an AGI world, this might look different, but we're not quite there yet. So in this, the fact that knowledge is created by humans, it presents us a unique opportunity. And the second understanding of knowledge is that which is accepted. In the usual sense, we have an institution, such as a university, a regulatory body, or an expert group, and these groups decide what is knowledge, what becomes canon. Here you see in the red some ideas which are decided to be false or misinformation or unvalid data, and those which are green are attested by the institutions to be canonical knowledge. And this generally makes up everything that we consider to be true in society today. So we have the premise. We have the premise of what is knowledge. We go from goods to services to, hopefully, a knowledge-backed economy. But how do you make an economy full stop? You have to decide how to quantify and value the outputs of that economy. So in the goods and services, we can give a price to a chair or a bottle of water based on its inputs. In the service economy, we can give a price to your hourly wage or your service based on the inputs and the outputs and the value we prescribe to humans. But how do you value knowledge? This is a very difficult concept which we're trying to tackle at DeSciWorld. I'm going to present to you a few ideas and a few pieces of infrastructure as to how this might play out. It's actually what we're building at DeSciWorld right now. So typically, in today's society, when you value knowledge, there are two core ways to value it. We have the productive knowledge set, which is patented, copyrighted, IP'd. And typically through this system, we have lots of corporate commercial use cases for knowledge, for ideas, for science, such as cleaning products, or pharmaceuticals, or fertilizers, and other such things. Synthetic biology for new things recently, creating meat and such things. And in the middle here, in the news, very important, is weapons of war. This is how most science is actually dictated and created and funded, is through its eventual applications for practical use cases. In particular, the middle one there, war, is actually probably the biggest driver of innovation for the last 100 years. And the second way that we tend to value knowledge is through institutions. We have prizes and we have grants. An institution will determine an idea's value beforehand and give it a grant in order for it to be carried out. The researchers will receive grants from institutions based on their proposals. And retroactive funding through prizes, for example, the Nobel Prize, will also be given to scientists for their ideas. So here we have two core ways to value knowledge today, through the patenting system, through the productive knowledge system, and through the retroactive institutional grants and prize system. So this is an analogy for how we value knowledge today, and this is an analogy of why it's so flawed. Here in the middle, we have a sprout, a plant, and it's an idea that became a productive piece of knowledge. The scientist or the researcher or the thinker thought about it, researched it, and created something out of it. The creation here is the plant. So it's given a stamp of approval, and money is sent to the thinker, the researcher. He's rewarded for his contributions to this idea. However, in reality, the soil from which this plant is sprouting from is actually littered with the dead and dying ideas of other researchers and other scientists. Those that decided to try and research something that eventually became this plant didn't quite get there, didn't quite find the practical application, couldn't quite find that conclusion. Their ideas are what this eventual idea would be built upon. Without soil, without the dead and dying ideas of experimentation, of people who are making mistakes and trying new things, without this soil, you cannot grow the plants of knowledge. Without this soil, new ideas cannot be productive. So this creates an obvious issue with only rewarding that productive science. We have no soil. This soil of ideas in this case, but also in the real world, our soil is also having some issues. So this leads to the conclusion that everybody has value in their brain. Even the ideas which then do not become productive can in some ways become valuable because it can be the soil from which the correct valuable knowledge is created. We don't have the mechanisms today by which to capture or value knowledge efficiently and fairly. Now, I know some people in here may be concerned with the concept of everybody's knowledge has value because of this, because we live in a world of false, misleading, and bad information, or misinformation. But sadly, this is the moment and time in which we're living in. We are living in a crisis of truth. There is a problem of crisis of truth even before the advent of AI, with false knowledge created by humans and being propagated through mass media systems. This is a problem today as AI becomes more powerful and we don't even know what is real footage, what is real information. This is going to become even worse. So because of this, we need a way for individuals to prove and to value their knowledge. We need a proof of knowledge. POK is the shorthand term here. In order to create proof of knowledge, it takes 4 simple steps. Firstly, you need a knowledge graph. A knowledge graph is just a visual representation of the relations between data. This idea leads to this idea, leads to this idea. It's just a conceptual framework, a visual representation. Secondly, you need to put it on chain. If you put it on chain, everybody can see and can prove the knowledge within that graph. Now you have this large set of on-chain data. You have to find a way to efficiently parse or to process this data. So we can use AI. Once you have the AI which is efficiently processing this large sets of data which have been proved on-chain, you can then begin to assign scores or points or a value to this knowledge. At this line here, that's our logo. This is an incentive line, below which you have produced the scores, you have produced the mechanism, you can start to provide incentives for this knowledge. And that's what we're doing at DeSciWorld. The effect of this proof of knowledge framework is that you have a list of different pieces of knowledge which are being assigned points. Relative to other points of knowledge, you're receiving different scores. So this piece of knowledge is being used by AI more, therefore it's got more points. And this is in relation to the relevance of the context of the data. So this is where our core infrastructure comes in. We're developing a system called knowledge engrams. The K is silent, so we can call them engrams. So knowledge is not a product, it is not a service, but it is tangible, and it can be tracked, and it can be quantified. We are using this system of engrams, or knowledge engrams, to track and to quantify the concept of knowledge. K engrams, our version, are modeled after the engram, which is a real piece of thing in your brain. I'm just going to read the definition here. An engram is a unit of cognitive information which is imprinted on a physical substance, your brain, which is theorized to be where memories are stored. This is actually a theoretical concept. The engram is supposedly lots of neurons, lots of pieces of information stored together. For the entirety of history, the engrams in your brain have been confined to your brain. If you want to communicate your ideas, you have to write them down into a book or paper, pass them to somebody else, and they read it. When they read it, it goes through their engrams, and it's a filter by which their experiences, their memories, their thoughts change the information that you have written down. This is an indirect method of knowledge transfer. So our system, you can directly share this knowledge without having to use a proxy such as writing or a book. Instead, you can give this directly to an AI, and they can use it as the source of information from which they construct their responses. You know that this AI is going to read the book and understand the meaning, and you can be confident that the whole of this knowledge is going to be transmitted without any loss or any damage or confusion. In a sense, the AI is used as a compiler for knowledge. Therefore, you have a unit of knowledge in the K-engram. You can use this as a building block to place together with other K-engrams to create more complex pieces of information. In a sense, the engram is a knowledge oracle. So here, back to the original flow of how to create a proof of knowledge. This circle on the left, the knowledge graph and its on-chain components is the engram, the wrapper. If you are able to determine a proof of this knowledge, you can then use it as a good for other use cases, such as embeddings or context in an AI chatbot. Or you can use it to pass to other researchers, and they can plug it in to their own research. So here's an example of what an AI chatbot that utilizes engrams as context might look like. This AI chatbot is producing a response. That response is coming from the knowledge unit, which is tracked and it's on-chain. Its response is here with a hyperlink attached to it. This hyperlink directly references that piece of knowledge from which it draws its information. Now, as a user, you can see who wrote it, what they wrote, and the researcher assigns points. This AI used this particular piece of information, and it is now gaining a point for being used by the AI. Right now, OpenAI's custom GPT release, which you may have seen, confirmed our thesis that a lot of people in the future will interface with information through chatbots. The issue is, OpenAI is a misnomer. OpenAI is incredibly closed. All of the data sets, which is the main lifeblood of the AI, are confined to the OpenAI databases. They obscure the source of that data. They obscure the verifiability of that data. With this system in an AI-driven future, all of its responses can be verified and reproduced. Thus, instead of the AI becoming the core of knowledge, humans become the core of the knowledge, the core of the collective consciousness of humanity. AIs remain the tool by which we leverage our knowledge, rather than us becoming the tool for AI to farm data from. Also in this context, groups of humans together can represent their viewpoints by combining their knowledge into a singular engram and pass this off to the AI. The AI can then be trusted to relay unyieldingly the point of view from this group of humans without adding in any additional context that is not wanted. The engram directly translates to the AI the inputs from the humans, and this, in the custom GPT future, can allow incredible reproducibility and verifiability of the data which that AI is speaking. And such, through this system of referencing and scoring and verifying, sources, on the bottom left here, are incentivized to provide better knowledge. The more hits you get, the more incentives you get. The more hits you get, the better your knowledge is. The better your knowledge is, the more likely it is that you'll get more hits. This is a self-perpetuating verifying mechanism which we hope will incentivize people to provide good knowledge. So, thus we have an answer to how do we value knowledge. It's not the only answer, and we hope many other people will find answers to this question. And so to reiterate, proof of knowledge is a concept. It's a conceptual framework from which you can use these steps to build an infrastructure on top, and DeSciWorld is building an iteration of this infrastructure. This is the full proof of knowledge stack at DeSciWorld. Proof of knowledge is the concept from which these items sit. Science.tech is the name of our upcoming technical platform from which this operates. The engrams sit on top of the platform. Sub-DAOs are how individual research collectives organize around engrams. And at the top here, these are the goals of proof of knowledge stack: to verify, to incentivize, and to create a new reputation system. I'm just going to spend 1 minute talking about reputation here, because it's important. This is the accepted sequence of creating the reputation in education. Humans combine their knowledge and give their knowledge to the institutions, research universities, institutions, universities, etc. The knowledge goes through these institutions and is then pushed out the other side as accepted canonical knowledge. This is because we do not trust ourselves to produce good knowledge. We have to have that knowledge verified by our trusted institutions. This is a trusted system. Okay, we are trying to move to a trustless system. In the revised sequence, in which engrams are a unit of knowledge which are verified inherently, engrams can provide information to humans here, to other humans. Engrams can verify other engrams. Engrams can still interact with universities. They can interact with AI. People can still interact with AI, and such can institutions. In the revised sequence, humans are at the core of the loop. The individual who is producing knowledge is at the core of the loop. And so this is how the whole system fits together at DeSciWorld, which is our protocol. Proof of knowledge underlies everything we do. The technical product is built on top. And then we have our conferences, of which we had one yesterday, so if anyone was there, thank you for coming. And we have the DeSci.World platform, which is our information aggregation, our communications entity. Feel free to check out that. And the DAO sits on top, which governs the entire concept. And in the interest of time, that was an understanding of a knowledge-backed economy and our infrastructure built around it. My name is Joshua. Please follow me on Twitter if you like. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you for